And this is what happens when you control the estradiol, but you take the testosterone up. Higher libido. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Ryan, and this is the Thunder Channel on Nootropics, on TRT, on biohacking, and on male performance. Please subscribe to the channel because, hey, bro, I know you're going to love the content, so just hit the sub button now. And I have a very peculiar, quirky cable guy that would really appreciate it, bro, if you would hit that like button. Who are we? We are Cortex Labs, and we make high-level nootropic stacks. I am an expert consultant in nootropics, TRT, and a bunch of other things. And we also make world-renowned, very popular, highly useful nootropics courses and digital guides that are stack-ridden. You can get all our good stuff at livecortex.com or down the description of this video. All right, friends. So look, in this video, I've got steroid plotted here because we're going to do some plotting on milligram release per day. But the predominant point that I want to make to you is over time consulting real men. I mean, you know, Alex, whoever from Sarasota, Florida, who owns an IT company and is a real guy, not Joe Mama 23 on reddit.com/r/testosterone, but a real dude that I get to see real labs and have accurate reporting of symptoms. The overall takeaway in years of consulting men on TRT is that guys respond better, okay, in terms of libido, erection quality, morning wood, androgenicity, anabolism, energy, like confidence, like feeling like a true man and getting the therapeutic benefits of TRT on higher doses of testosterone with proper aromatase inhibition. Now, you know, the reason that this is frowned upon out there on the web is because people are confused. You know, typically people go up to 190, 200 milligrams a week of testosterone, they get side effects, right? And that is almost disproportionately, invariably related to the fact that they are not properly controlling testosterone's conversion to estrogen. It's just what I see every time, guys. Yeah, look, if you go to 200 milligrams a week, and even if you're injecting every other day and your blood levels are somewhat stable, yeah, you're going to be peaking pretty high, 21, 22, 23 or 23 milligrams per day or per every other day release when you peak. But guess what those, peaks are going to do? And that constant higher level of testosterone release, it's going to convert to estradiol. And so on those higher doses, people complain of sleeplessness, anxiety, like, higher blood pressure, all these things that we actually know, both in the scientific literature, as well as in the anecdotals, as well as in my personal experience with real men, is not related to estradiol. It's caused by estradiol. So the common strategy, which I think, works for some people, I'm not talking to you if you've lowered your dose and now you don't have estrogenic side effects and you feel fine on TRT. Hey, if you're at 120 or 105 and you feel great, you can turn this video off right now. I'm not talking to you, bro. But for a lot of guys that take this advice on the web to look, it's like they're getting estradiol side effects, but they think it's the TRT itself. They think it's just the high levels of testosterone. And then they lower their dose like down below therapeutic range. And then they're not getting morning wood at all. They have no sexuality whatsoever, but they're listening to Reddit. Yeah, their estradiol is at 30 picograms per milliliter, but their TAS is at 700, 800. And that person may need to sit at 1250 in order to have the proper libido, morning wood, erection quality, anabolism, confidence, energy from testosterone. All right, so it's not always the case that, if you're having sides on tasks like lower your dose, lower your dose, lower your dose. Yeah, I've seen the absolute opposite in real life, not Joe Mama 23 on Reddit, real life, where if estrogen is controlled correctly, people respond better to higher doses of testosterone. And I'm talking the 175 milligrams to 230 milligram dose range per week. So let's do a little bit of math. Let's just do some playing around with steroid plotter to kind of illustrate this point, okay? You have 150 milligram a week dose. People think that's high. Like, I think it's just mid-range is what I would consider that. Say you're injecting every other day, so you divide that by 3.5. Let's go to steroid plotter and type in 42.8, so basically 43 milligrams every other day. We'll do a 12-week cycle. This is cypionate. And see what our peaks are. Okay, our peaks here are, the highest peak you're going to get is 1698. So basically 17 milligram release per peak. This is every other day. And then you got a trough, which would be the next day, of 1378, roughly 14 milligrams. Seems fine, right? For some people, this is going to be perfect. For other guys, however, that are going to need to be peaking at 22, 23 milligrams on their peak and then troughing at like 18 or 19, this is not going to be sufficient. But you would think it is. It's 150 milligrams testosterone a week or injecting every other day. Why the hell aren't you getting adequate sexual benefits or adequate anabolism? Why aren't you getting symptom relief at this dose? This is why, okay? Let's go 200 divided by 3.5. Now it's 57 milligrams. Go back to steroid plotter and type in 57 milligrams every other day. Let's run this and compare it to our 16.98, 17 milligram peak release of testosterone. And let's look at our peak now. Now we're peaking at 22.5. 22.5. Now, this is where, and by the way, you know, higher than this is where I've seen like real powerful therapeutic benefits, but this suffices for a lot of guys. But let's call it the 57 milligram every other day to 60 milligram every other day, which is between 200 and 210 milligrams per week of testosterone. This is really where I see guys get the therapeutic benefit when they're missing something on TRT, right? When they're missing anabolism, they're missing energy, they don't have symptom relief from everything that they had symptoms from that's related to testosterone. Testosterone could help. They don't have libido, erection quality, morning wood, or it's inconsistent. They don't have insatiable sex drive. I've been on testosterone doses that made me feel somewhat castrated, right? Immediately knew I had to raise the dose and control for estradiol. But here, let's you know, take it to 210 milligrams a week. That'd be 60 milligrams every other day. And look at this peak, all right? You're getting now a peak of 23.6, almost 24 milligrams. Your trough is, you know, the next day, your trough is sitting at 19. I mean, you don't really even go below 20. You're very close to not going below 20. You're staying highly androgenic and highly anabolic like all of the time. Now, I just want to like type out to you exactly what happens when guys do this and they properly control estradiol with, by the way, the compounded 0.125 milligram anastrozole tablets. It's just so much easier to dose. You can split it in half and you get 0.065 or something. Very small micro dosing of anastrozole. So you don't really run the risk, especially on high doses, of crashing estradiol, but you can make sure that a good degree of that testosterone is not converting to what'll end up being super physiologic levels of estradiol, which is going to cause you all kinds of symptoms. If you do it correctly, you keep the estradiol between 20 and call it 35. Look, some guys will feel better at 35, maybe 40 picograms per milliliter, not usually higher than that. And this is what happens when you control the estradiol, but you take the testosterone up. Higher libido. Okay, guys tell me, wow, my libido is actually the way that I always imagined it would be on TRT now that I'm on a higher dose and I'm not kind of messing around at this 130, 140 because I'm afraid of estradiol. Be afraid of estradiol, my friends, but make sure you're controlling it. And people are like, oh, wow, now when I go out or I'm around women, like I feel like a man, they sense that I have that sort of sexual urge or sexual drive and they like it, right? Most guys think like chicks are turned off by guys that are hitting on them or whatever. They're actually not. They love it from a confident guy who's like giving off vibes of sexuality and who also has his shit together, is in good shape, looks good, drives a nice car, makes money, all that stuff. So higher libido, okay? Number 2, better anabolism, okay? Bigger muscles, right? Greater looking pumps, like generally more cut, yeah, a better proportion of muscle mass versus, you know, visceral fat. Guys just like looking lean and thick and strong and being able to go to the gym and lift weights and, you know, not be sore and go every day or every other day and just like actually make good solid muscle gains. You guys have been paying attention to my progress on TRT. Like my physique has just like grown exponentially, but I can tell you what, as I've done videos on this before, when my doses were lower, I just really couldn't get the physique where I wanted it to be. All right, so better anabolism on higher doses of testosterone. Number 3, more confidence, okay? More confidence. There's a different level of assertiveness, like just definitiveness. Like, you know, you couldn't fucking budge you one way or the other if you're confident about something, you know? People can't change your mind. You're not going to, like, you're going to be very controlling of your environment and controlling of what you will tolerate or what you won't tolerate. You know, I had an ex-girlfriend who was like a liar and she did all kinds of wacky shit. It's like now at super physiologic testosterone levels at right around 1200 at this point, like I wouldn't fucking tolerate it for a goddamn second, bro. Whereas before I was like, oh, I love her and whatever, all this other Care Bear bullshit and we were trying to save her and all that. I never would have fucking done that if my test was high enough. But generally, otherwise, more confidence, like in everything that you do. You're going to be that guy that asserts himself and gets stuff done. It does not seem like there's any hedging or apprehension at any capacity because your confidence is higher. Fourth thing that happens when guys raise their dose but control the estradiol appropriately is more energy. Okay, generally more energy throughout the day. It means more energy to tackle tasks. It means more energy to start that business you've been wanting to start. It means more energy to get a promotion at work, to like work harder, to actually assert yourself more so that you can make more money. It means more energy to take your kids out and do whatever, have energy in the evening times. It means more energy to go hike, more energy for the gym, more brain energy to be dominant in life and productive. That's what you're going to notice on higher levels of testosterone, assuming you're controlling estradiol correctly, is more energy. Number 5, contrary to popular belief, so long as you are controlling the estradiol, you're going to sleep better. I sleep better on higher levels of testosterone than I do on lower levels. The difference sometimes is, 100 to 200 nanograms per deciliter. Like on 1,000 nanograms per deciliter total test, I don't sleep as well as if I'm at 1,200. Number 6, all of the sort of like androgenic effects that testosterone delivers, of course we talked about higher libido, but like morning wood, right? Spontaneous erections, random erections. I don't know if virilization is used in the context of guys, usually talked about in the context of women, but androgenic effects, a deeper voice, right? Again, that assertive sort of male dominance type of thing. Bigger shoulders, you know what I mean? Like where the androgen receptors are, like you're just going to generally look like a Greek god and have more androgenic effects on higher doses of testosterone. All right, so let's go down a little bit, okay? And let's just sort of discuss how to actually manage the estradiol on higher doses of testosterone. I've changed my protocol, and I guess it's a good time to talk about, the protocol that I'm on at the moment. 210 milligrams a week. I had previously been on 180 milligrams a week as cypionate, and that was pretty good. Anabolic, androgenic, all these positive things. But since raising my dose a little bit, right, it's an extra 20 milligrams a week, I've gotten all these things above, like just in higher quantity. But I'm at 210 milligrams a week. I'm injecting every other day. So that is 60 milligrams every other day. So we'll just do 60 milligrams EOD. Now, in this particular case, so yeah, I feel like a Greek god. I mean, I just haven't felt this good in my life. Like everything's just going really well. In this dose, what I've got to do for anastrozole, considering that I have these 0.125 milligram compounded anastrozole tablets, which are like absolutely clutch in this situation, is I'm running, what I'm running is 2x EOD. So what that ends up being is 0.25 milligrams AZ every other day. So I'm running 0.25 milligrams anastrozole every other day. Now at this, so here's a major point. When guys are on these 120, 130 milligram doses and they're taking 0.25 milligrams of anastrozole even twice a week, they crash their estradiol, right? Because there's not enough testosterone converting to estradiol in order for this to make sense, for even a 0.125 milligram twice a week dose of anastrozole to make sense. They end up taking it to sub 15 picograms per milliliter, and they end up feeling like shit, further validating this notion that you don't want to take an AI, which ultimately is nonsense. If your dose is high enough and say like you're aromatizing more that is in a place where it's sort of out of the purview of control of AIs, which would be intratesticular aromatase induced by HCG, well, then you're going to have even a better time like tolerating AIs, because it's pretty hard to crash the estradiol when you've got that sort of resistant to AIs aromatase activity that's happening in the testicles. But anyway, back to my protocol, right, of like super anabolism and super androgenicity of 210 a week. I'm running 0.25 milligrams of anastrozole every other day. And guess where that takes my estradiol? My estradiol stays in the range which makes sense for me, which is 20 to 30 picograms per milliliter. I think one time it was like 33 picograms per milliliter. It's like, three markers above, the high end of the reference range, depending on which range you're looking at. That's where I feel great, sub 20 picograms per milliliter. I want to make that clear. Then I kind of lose libido a little bit. I don't really feel as emotionally tuned in and connected. And I generally just don't feel good. I may get some achy joints at like 15 picograms per milliliter. I've experimented with all that, so I know what low estradiol feels like, but it's very hard for me to crash the estradiol when my test dose is so high. For you, it may be 0.125, but you got to get the compounded anastrozole tablets. I'm telling you, they will change your experience on TRT, and you run way less of a risk of tanking your estradiol, because with these 1 milligram tablets, you cut it up, you're split, you don't actually know how much you're getting. I used to advocate for that until I stumbled upon these compounded tablets, which are much better and way more accurate. Now, who knows what your anastrozole dose will be on a 200 milligram, per week, every other day injection schedule. I don't know, right? People are metabolizing different. People may have been husky or fat at some point in their life, so they've got more aromatase activity hanging around, even if they're in shape now. There's all kinds of unknowns that we don't really understand. If people are injecting subcutaneous, you got more aromatase in the fat tissue, so you're probably aromatizing more that way, despite what people are telling you on the internet. That's why you should always inject intramuscular or shallow intramuscular. I think that's fine. The the half-inch insulin pins will reach muscle tissue, and thus all the blood vessels and better distribution of your testosterone if you're injecting in the ventroglute or something shallow IM, or even the DELT. Higher doses of testosterone, higher peaks in milligram quantity, and the right estradiol control. That does not tank the estradiol, guys. We're not trying to tank the estradiol, right? We do need it for libido, for bone health, for brain health, for cardiovascular health, for joint health. But keeping it in that 20 to 30, again at the highest 35 picograms per milliliter range with high levels of testosterone, these guys feel the best. Now, I want to end off by saying, like, there is something to say about really high levels of testosterone and side effects that are not estradiol related, and they're probably DHT conversion related. There are guys that even if they're controlling the estradiol, they're going to get like tension headaches, or like general tension, or maybe some muscle aches, or otherwise like weird side effects on high doses of testosterone, even though they're controlling the estradiol. And for them, higher, blood levels of tests are just not adequate. Like, they're going to do better on lower. How can we explain that? Who knows? I mean, maybe their whole lives they were only exposed to a certain level of testosterone. Maybe they're efficient in uptaking the cypionate. Maybe they're efficient in uptaking a certain milligram, per peak release of testosterone, and that's just how they function. Who knows? Like, more power to them, and totally great. If you're one of those guys that goes up, but you're keeping the estradiol in that 20 to 30 range, and you go up to 1200, 1300, 1400, and you're having side effects, then yeah, you don't need to be that high. You should be at 1000, maybe 900, maybe 1200, who knows? 50 nanograms per deciliter difference may be the difference that actually gets your protocol straight. So again, those people, not talking to you. But again, disproportionately in my experience, I've seen people respond better to higher doses with the right dose of an aromatase inhibitor, guys. All right, as I said in the beginning of this video, yeah, we are predominantly a male performance enhancement company. I have been doing this for 15 years, both in research as well as consulting. We make a couple nootropic stacks. The most prominent of them is the Torque stack. You can get this thing at livecortex.com. I mean, if you want 5 to 6 to 8 hours of clean stimulant energy, just go buy Torque. Read what people say about it. Go get a bottle, have it shipped to you in 2 days. You will love this stack. If you need my help, look, go to consultations, go to book with Ryan at the menu at livecortex.com and hire me. I mean, we can do email consults to call consults to larger packages. We have any number of options for me to consult you on nootropics, dialing in your TRT regimen, energy optimization, hosts of other specialties, even stuff that's not listed here. You can book me in under a minute at livecortex.com, and you will have a consultation with me usually that day or the next day. Very quick response time on our end. If you need nootropics guides, courses, I got a bunch of video courses that I did myself that teach you how to use nootropics and get good results, as well as downloadable digital guides that are stack written on nootropics. You can find all that stuff in the description of this video or at livecortex.com. All right, everybody, been a pleasure hanging out with you. Yeah, I just got an update. So we just got the label approved by the trademark holders of a couple of the chemicals that we're going to be using in the new Cortex formula. We were waiting on that, so that delayed it just a little bit. And it looks like we're about 4 weeks out. So as I said, beginning of August, middle of August, at the very latest, that's when it's going to launch. So we got the new Cortex stack launching very soon. Look forward to it. It's a new formula. It's very powerful. And it's going to be freaking awesome. In the meantime, go buy Torque. Yeah, have it by your desk, my friends. Torque is a fire nootropic stack. Pleasure being with you. Talk to you in the next one.